Hello, lovely creature. I hope you're having a beautiful day. You are joined by your three favorite BAMs, and today we will be discussing Arrival by Denis Villeneuve. And yeah, that's it. Pretty much, we watched Arrival together. It was really fun. I think this is one of the best alien movies to come out in my lifetime. Not saying that I've watched all the alien movies to come out in my lifetime, but I was thinking we could go sequentially through the plot. The one thing that, even though I've watched this movie, this is my second time watching the movie, even though I've watched this movie before, I forgot the whole, like, she hadn't had her daughter yet thing. I was like, oh, that's so sad. She lost a daughter and she's been through divorce and now the aliens are invading. So I want to know what you guys thought about that whole plot twist. That's kind of jumping to the end, but is there really an end or beginning with time? Is that not the lesson this movie taught us?
I guess not. I didn't expect it, but I wasn't surprised, I guess. I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, no, I have also seen this before and I completely forgot about that. There was a point, because I mean, there's literally two characters in the whole movie. So there was a point where I was like, oh, her and Ian are like gonna be a thing or whatever. And then like it didn't hit me until like the end. And I was like, oh snap, wait a second. And it did that whole like reveal. And then she was like, it feels so good to be held by you again, or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, wow. Beautifully done.
And just, okay, so in the beginning, the way everything happened, I think was really, really elegant. How she doesn't know what's going on, but then half of her students are gone. And then one of her students is like, can you turn on the TV to the news? And she's like, okay. And we see this huge thing, and you can see how it affected her. Like, she stayed up all day on the news, which is election 2020 vibes, staying up just watching the news till you pass out. But it felt like there was something about this movie that felt so real. And I think the first couple scenes really, really worked towards that kind of feeling.
Yeah, I think this was a really well done movie, because typically I'm not a fan of alien movies because I think they're all done to Hollywood in a way, and it's just like, oh, big green scary monster or whatever. But this really took a completely different approach, and I think that added to the reality of it. And again, like with everyone's reactions, it was pretty on point, rather than like, oh no, aliens, they're invading, oh, they're killing humans, something else dramatic, blah blah blah. Like, I really it was unique, and I appreciate that.
I thought this was a horror alien movie. I did not know what was going to happen unless, except that there was going to be aliens. So I thought that it was going to be horror. I was waiting the whole time.
For the aliens to flip.
I was like, so when are they going to start killing people?
Oh my gosh.
No, but I think that's like what the best sci-fi does, is like subvert your expectations, because I feel like sci-fi kind of falls into the I guess, what is it called? Experiences that prejudice, or like falls into the trap of like, oh, you read sci-fi, so what, like men in space with lasers fighting like that's all like the genre gets reduced down to a lot.
Right.
And I feel like that was kind of my view. Star Wars, Star Trek, that's it. Before I started taking classes at Tech about it, and I think it's so lovely and like so beautiful. And like, so the aliens in this movie are the other, right? They're the opposing society that we don't really understand or can't really recognize, and we're trying to interface with for the first time. And I love how they're so much like humans, but of course not at the same time. And they're so considerate and smart,
right?
And they understand that we have a different atmosphere, and like, but you mentioned something interesting, that they never once tried to learn English.
Yeah, or any like language. That was really interesting to me, because I'm kind of like a nerd about languages, and just linguistics in general. And I think that, like, it was interesting that the whole plot was basically this world's best linguist is, like, learning the language of the heptapods? Was it
Yeah,
hepta?
I think that's what we're calling them.
But they're supposed to be such powerfully smart and like intelligent beings that they can come to Earth, have 12 of them like chilling and communicating, and like they can see throughout time, but they don't know how to communicate like with humans. But at the same time, it's like maybe they knew that Luis was gonna figure it out, so they were like, nah, we don't need to try to like communicate with them outside of our own language. I don't know, it was kind of interesting because it adds kind of a contrast, I think, because they are such like powerfully intelligent but also like considerate. They're not here to kill humans. They're here to be just straight up diplomatic and have a relationship with Earth, but like they almost cause a war. Not they don't cause it. Human fear causes it, but or almost causes it. But like part of me is like, why? I guess like why were they just chilling? Not that they could do much, but it was just kind of interesting that they were just straight up waiting for Louise to like figure everything out.
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't be my game plan if I went to a different
I raise you an answer. Listening to you speak about it made me think, so they're more advanced, yes, very obviously. Why would you pull up to a room where you need to speak to someone about trigonometry and all they know is addition? You're the one who has to teach them what you know so that you can have the conversation, not the other way around. Because he was, like, the whole reveal at the end is that, like, now that she understands the language, she transcends time basically the same way they do. Which is very much reminiscent of Slaughterhouse-5. I don't think you guys have read Slaughterhouse-5, right?
I have.
I have.
You have?
I have.
Yeah, so, like, to fill Jayla in. Slaughterhouse-5 is about this man who is in the war. I think World War II, World War I. I think World War II because Nazis. And he's dealing with PTSD. And one of the ways that this manifests is he sees these aliens and he believes he's been abducted by aliens. And these aliens, when we we speak to them a lot, we find out that these aliens don't see time linearly, just like the heptapods in this movie. They, like, the way they tell their stories is, like, it's just all the scenes on one page and, like, everything is just there and that they already know everything that's happened. Like, the way they experience life is very different and interesting, and it's exactly the same as the heptapods. And I think it's interesting that in this movie, because, I mean, the main guy in Slaughterhouse-5 never, like, experiences time like that. I mean, he kind of, because his PTS kind of takes him to the past and takes him to the present, and he's really confused about where in time he is. But, like, Louise is never confused I mean, she's a little confused at first, but, like, after she has her understanding of time, like, she's solid in that understanding, and she's, like, almost at the same level as the heptapods, which is really interesting.
Yeah, which is, like, I was thinking about it. It's because, like, at a surface level, you think it would be easy to just be like, hey, humans, in 3,000 years or whatever, we're going to need your help. Bye. Like, that's our message. Right. But I think it's interesting that they, like, let all of it happen and let Louise, like, learn it, because in a way they already knew that, like, she was going to learn it, I guess. So, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Time is weird. Having to think about time in different ways is, like, so weird.
That's what bothers me about Slaughterhouse-5, because in Slaughterhouse-5, the story kind of, you get bits and pieces of it, like, strangely spaced out throughout time at different times. And I liked the concept, but I just didn't like it. It confused me. I didn't like reading it like that. But in this movie, you could see more clearly where time is being, split off. So I like that.
Yeah, I remember distinctly feeling when I was reading Slaughterhouse 5, I had to restart it several times because I was like, I usually don't like it when I go into a book and I don't know what's happening, which, is usually what you get in science fiction. But I found myself wanting to, like, rearrange the book in chronological order, which I think is a very human and very stubborn kind of mindset that we see in the movie when all the humans are like, obviously they want us to post up. Let's stop communicating and stop talking to each other. But yeah, no, the time is very confusing. And the one sequence that bothers me the most in terms of time, because I don't like thinking about time non-linearly, is the whole with, who was it, Commander Shang? The guy that everyone
Chinese
was very
general?
yes, the Chinese general everyone was very concerned about.
Yes.
When as she's on the phone with him, she's seeing the future / knowing the future, and he conveniently just repeats everything that she said to him. So the question, so I know, like, the time loop is this whole thing of, like, she said it, that's why he's repeating it in the future, but the only reason she knows what to say is because he repeats it to her in the future, because in the past she said it. I hate it, and it's the same thing with the heptapods weird. Of, like, we need help in 3,000 years, so we're gonna pull up now, because we know we have to pull up now. It's, ugh.
The main thing that bothered me about that sequence was, like, it was too easy. Like, I don't care that she had to, like, have a future vision of something that hadn't happened yet / had happened. It's just the fact that the Chinese general was straight up like, this is what you told me, and then you told me this. Next, you told me that.
Look at my phone where my...
Literally,
if I was freaking out traveling to time and someone held up their phone and said, look, this is my private number, I would not remember the private number.
Well, she didn't have to remember. It was there constantly in her mind.
I guess.
No, but, like, I don't know. It was kind of just weird. And part of me is like, would he have listened that quickly in, like, our real time when she had to call him up? Like, I feel like no. But then you said something about how, well, if she does know that, like, you think he would listen to her because why else would she know it if she was a normal person? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of confusing.
If she saw the past where his wife died and she actually saw her final words, right?
That's a very good point. If she had a random vision of his past where his wife was dying and saying those words, but also, can you look into other people's past?
Oh, you're saying as an alternative?
Yeah, instead of like... Yeah, I don't think...
No, it's only your own experience. You're experiencing your own life at once.
Well, then they should have... Well, I guess the commander wasn't in the pod, but they should have made him see that he was being stupid. I think it would have been interesting to see more of the other worlds. Like, I know this is very much centered on, like, Louise and then secondarily Ian, but I think it would have been interesting to see more scenes from, like, China's perspective. Of, like, how they were interpreted things and how things escalated on that side. I think that could have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, the scene where she was like, oh, I just remembered why my husband left me. Because, like, I feel like a lot was happening at that point. And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting because as the viewer, you're thinking that, like, it already happened. But I think at that point she was just beginning to learn the language. And so, like, I don't know, it's just weird thinking about it. Like, I want to watch it again.
Yes, it's such a good movie. Such a good movie. I think when she starts speaking like that, like, speaking about the future as if it was the past or something currently happening or something that was, like, already a part of her, God, I really liked that. And I feel like that really alienated her from alienated her from everyone. And I think it's interesting that I feel like in most alien, like, come to Jesus alien type things, we're like, oh, aliens are nice, aliens are friends. It's like the aliens being portrayed and seen as more human, but then you have, like, a human being elevated up to the stature of this very intelligent alien so that we can continue on in the future. I like that it's us coming up to the level of the other rather than bringing the level down to like, oh, look, see, they're so nice. They're just like humans. Gosh, but they were so nice. Like, they were so cute.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, they're so cute. They're so nice. I almost cried when Abbott was dying. What was the phrase they used?
Oh, Abbott is death process.
Ugh, tragic.
And when they saved them from the bomb,
oh my god!
I wonder how they knew. Oh, I guess because they know everything.
Yeah.
They see time and space. That the bomb was in there and they saved them. God.
What conversation were they having at that point?
They were trying to clear up the whole weapon thing because everybody was
right.
freaking out about the.
Right.
They said they wanted to give a weapon or present a weapon or something like that.
Like I think it's interesting that they were letting them just like chat up there, I guess. Instead of, well, I guess in a way they were trying to say like, hey, you're in danger, and that's why he did the big like burst and then dipped. But like, I don't know. It's just it's interesting
sense.
how they chose to like save them, I guess. Like, because why would they have just blasted them out of the ship from the beginning, you know?
Right.
And closed them out, like, close your door. I don't know.
But wouldn't it have made more sense if, like, the aliens did come speaking English? It would have been way more efficient.
Yeah, see, like, that's what I was thinking, but the way they work, like, do they already know that they don't need to know English?
It's almost like it's a question of free will. If you know what's going to happen, then if you know what's going to happen, then you don't have a choice. You just know, I have to go to Earth, and I have to let these things happen and step in when I can, I guess. I don't know. It raises the question, can you change the future? Because you might argue that, yes, Louise could have chosen not to get married to Ian and not have a child, but she chooses to do so anyways. So it's like,
Which is
she
weird.
choosing to do so, or is she just following what has been set by space and time that is going to happen? Because it already has happened. Like, I feel like, does knowing this language take away your free will?
Oh no, I hate that.
I feel like, in a sense, it almost kind of does.
Gosh.
I mean, it felt like it because honestly, if I was her, I would not have married him. Especially knowing he's gonna leave. What? No thanks.
I don't know if it's like necessarily taking free will, more of like, I don't know. I don't think it's taking away free will. I think it's just like you can't stop what's gonna happen.
But couldn't you? Couldn't you be like,
What,
no, I'm not
can
marrying
you?
Ian? Exactly.
I don't
so
think
where
you
is
can.
So is that no free will?
But it's your free will in the present.
I don't know, if you came up to me and told me, hey, Queen, you're gonna fail this class. I could choose to drop because it's pre-drop period, but if you're telling me I'm failing this class, isn't it inevitable that I'll fail? Like, I can't drop because you're telling me about a reality in which I stay in that class and fail it.
But then what if it's like a butterfly effect thing where it's like if she doesn't, like, that's the timeline that was set. You know what I mean? Like, before you fail that class, what if you just like rescued people from a train track? You know what I mean? So it's like you have to go fail that class now.
Then I don't have a choice.
But you had a choice before that.
No. Oh my god, I can't.
I hate that.
No, I hate things that mess with time. I feel like, because that really brings in the whole existential, like, do we have a choice? Because, I mean, when oxygen is readily available to combust, does it have a choice? No. So how are we any different? You know? But, I mean, humans like to think they got choices and they're real bold. I'm fine. If someone came down here, I don't know, alien, God, the universe itself, if someone came down here and said, hey, you're just kind of following a pre-programmed thing. I'd be like, well, as long as I'm having fun doing it, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, that reminds me of a point, like, because we were talking a little bit about this at the end of the movie. You mentioned something about, like, oh, well, if Louise knew that she was gonna, like, be happy and, like, have, like, a happy life while it lasted, like, that outweighs the divorce and losing a child, which obviously none of us can speak to that.
Of course.
But, like, I think that's another human thing. Like, yeah, you know that in 15, 20 years or however long, like, life's gonna be a little sucky, but you're still choosing to go through it because you know it'll be worth it, I guess. So, I don't know, maybe it's her free will to be happy for a little bit.
Maybe it is. I would have liked to know more about the alien society and culture, which, I mean, that's just me asking for answers that I don't think anyone has. I feel like it's very hard for a human being to imagine time non-linearly and experience time non-linearly. I feel like almost in every way that we define ourselves is via time, and it's like this fake construct, but I mean, no, that's like how we literally experience things.
Right.
Yeah, I'm okay with the idea of time not being how we perceive it, like slowing down or speeding up, because, you know, that's normal stuff. Like when you're watching a clock, it's slowing down, right? Because you're perceiving it differently. But the idea of it not being linear, I just can't comprehend it.
Well,
I think things just go step by step, no matter how you look at it.
there's this a Vsauce video on time travel with Jake Roper in it, and I think he interviews Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they're talking about time travel, and the thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson says is, take me to tomorrow then. Where is tomorrow? Where is yesterday? That's the issue with time travel. We don't know where these things are. So, like, where is now in relation to everything else? Like, it could be anywhere. I feel like I like the theory that everything that's ever happened and will happen is happening at the same time. And we're just perceiving, we're different elements of that process perceiving things whenever, but I don't know. I think it's weird. I don't think we'll ever solve that problem. I think it'll be a long while till we solve the time thing.
I don't know if there is a time thing. I don't know.
No, I think
like
it's
people are
just
thinking too deeply into time.
I wonder, so let's go even crazy. I know we're leaving Arrival a little bit, but I think that's what the movie wants us to do, is transcend a little bit past how you normally think. So time, of course, is a human perception. I'm not saying that animals don't perceive time. I don't know enough about the topic, but I'm sure most do. I wonder if you trained an AI or like something intelligent enough to think about time, how it would perceive time, because we built, if we just didn't give it a clock, don't tell it how to tell time, like how it would perceive the passage of events. I feel like it would be almost the same, because that's how we want to order everything in like sequential order.
An AI? I mean, it has to be able to perceive it in some way.
But what if we didn't give it any rules about how time works? Like, we just never addressed time.
But if it's being built by a human, like,
Yes.
by default, it's
Just
going to
delete all the time, everything about time.
It's
Don't
going
add
to
it.
perceive time
Linearly?
Yeah.
Ew,
And I
do you
don't
think we
think
could
you have
train
to
something to
learn
perceive
time.
time not linearly? I feel like that would be a mess because we don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's I don't think it's possible for a human as we know it to like do anything like that.
Ew. Maybe that's what's blocking us from all science's greatest discoveries, is our perception of the universe.
I don't know. Time isn't something you have to learn. You know it when you're born. You know it when you're 4 and you start remembering things. So I don't understand how you would perceive it differently.
No, I think we're just locked in our meat cages. We're not. We can't achieve that type of thought.
We have to learn heptapod.
Oh, another thing about the heptapods. You know the whole we harped a lot about the atmosphere, like, oh, they it takes hours for them to fix their ship so that we can go in. But then Louise was just chilling with them inside the atmosphere, and it didn't kill her. I'm surprised it didn't kill her. I feel like it should have killed her.
I think that a lot of that happened like at the very beginning. And I think like a lot of that was reflecting kind of like the human's fear of the unknown, because we also thought that there was radiation or whatever, and they had to go in looking like Monsters Inc. characters. Like, and then it turns out there was literally zero radiation. So like I think if anything, it was humans didn't know, like why would they have known what was inside of that ship? They couldn't even get a reading on the material of the outside of the ship. So I think a lot of it was just speculation. And then like I think the heptapods were so advanced that they probably knew they weren't going to kill Louise if they brought her in there. You know what I mean? Because they understand humans enough to know what, like,
yes,
can
I don't think
them.
they would have accidentally killed her, but I feel like realistically, there's no way that a human, if you just put it in a random alien atmosphere, it would be vibing. I feel like the chances are very, very low. But also, I like that point of, like, maybe the heptapods made, like, this glass wall in this little room to, like, make the humans feel more comfortable.
Right.
Instead of being, like, come into our smoke zone.
Yeah, and it was, like, wet, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what was going
very
on.
Very humid.
Yeah.
Those things look scary. But they were cute.
I thought they were cute.
They were cute.
They should have learned the alphabet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was like, that would have been another interesting thing to, like, try to make them create new symbols to match the alphabet, but then I guess they wouldn't know how to construct words necessarily. That would probably be a lot harder to teach them English than to like just learn it. Apparently,
maybe they can't, and that's why they didn't.
Yeah,
they can't.
They understand, but they just can't do it.
Well, I guess it's very hard to imagine you perceive time not linearly.
Yeah.
And some will, like, perceive it linearly, though.
Right.
Because we're struggling
I
to
know,
perceive it not linearly. Oh my gosh. Man. This movie was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
I hate that they were named Abbott and Costello, though. That's not funny to me. I don't think it's funny. We should have chosen something deep and cool. That's a comedy duo, by the way, if you didn't know, from, like, back before we had color, before scientists invented color for the world.
That was Ian's main role in the movie, in the mission or whatever, was naming them.
Yeah, really, what was Ian doing?
The whole time.
I don't know.
Ian was useless the whole time.
Yeah, I think he was really just love interest, which is fun to see a male scientist be the love interest instead of, like, a scientist having a female journalist love interest, or, like, that very basic romance plot in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what? Would you, if you were Ian, would you be upset if you knew that your chick,
what?
That your chick knew that you were gonna have a kid that had cancer?
Ian should have. First of all, Ian should have been new when she starts saying weird stuff like, I forgot how it felt to hold you the first time she hugged you. Because I bet you she kept saying weird stuff like that throughout the whole relationship, because now you perceive time different. Like, well, I feel like he should have had a heads up, or at least, like, I don't think he can hold that against her.
Yeah, no, so I'm pretty sure he knew that she, like, could now perceive time as at, like, one moment, because, like, the whole world knew she could. And, like, I mean, that's why he left her, was, like, you just told me that our kid is, and I don't remember if she was pregnant when they divorced, or if the child was, like, a baby, because, like, that is when he left, is because she said that their kid was gonna die, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I
But would you
wouldn't
be
have-
mad though?
Why? I don't know if I'd be angry, because it's like, it's not her fault. Maybe he felt deceived or tricked in a way, but I
Right.
don't think that was her. Like, she wasn't gonna tell him, because I'm still under the belief of she has no free will. She can't tell him because that's the way things have to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, too bad, King. This is what the universe required in order to function the way it's functioning.
I mean, but did she or did she not have the free will to tell him?
She told him eventually.
Yeah, after she was already pregnant, or the kid existed.
Well, I guess that's her.
Things were set in motion.
Her having him for as long as she could, and then, because I mean, I wouldn't want to tell. I would feel more upset if my wife knew and waited to tell me. You know, like waited till my child was like 15, 16, like around the age.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you know someone's gonna die, you act different and you value them more. So I'd be grateful the earlier she told me, even if it was after we had the kid.
I mean, she did still wait. Like, it's not like she told you right off the rip.
Right.
Yes, she did still wait, but that's fear, probably.
Right.
I guess, well, how can you be afraid if you know he's gonna leave you? I guess it's still scary.
Until sad.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
or is it sad because she's already felt it before?
Oh no! She feels so
Oh my
not
God.
human after
All the
you
time.
think of that. But obviously she is, because she loves him and she loves her daughter.
Right.
I mean, but if she's feeling all the time, then she's feeling all her emotions all the time, right? So she can feel that love anytime, even after he's gone, right? Or after he's gone, because he's never really gone, because time is.
Oh my
non-linear.
gosh.
I guess it doesn't matter. Damn. I mean, if I'm just experiencing time, we're at any moment you are with me and not with me. Does it matter what I do to drive you away or drive you closer from me?
But then here's a question. How can she die? How does she perceive death?
Oh no, that's so scary. Well, we know, I was about to be like, well, maybe the aliens don't die, but they do. We know that Abbott dies.
And the director put that in there for a reason, I guess.
So I guess you know when you're gonna die.
So
guess
Abbott
it's not
just pieced
exciting.
out. He said, I'm just going to go into, like, the shadows for now.
Death process.
That's really
Death process. So did he say that for her benefit? Because, I mean, if time is non-linear to them, maybe they don't even see it like a death process, but to her, it's a death process in her linear time. So maybe he just said that for her benefit, and everything's chill with that.
Maybe they don't perceive it as death. They just perceive it as a moment in time where you don't exist. And there are other moments in time where you do exist.
Maybe. Or it's just, like, if it's about perception, your perception can be different from your, like, physical being. So it's like, my being is living linearly, but I see non-linearly.
Ew.
Huh?
Trapped in
Oh,
a
I guess
linear
that's-
show. Gosh.
I guess that's right, because the person still is going through it step by step. You're just seeing it differently.
Yeah. You're forced. I guess it's applied to the heptapods too. Like, you're forced to walk through everything linearly, but you don't see it. Yeah, basically what you said. That's really interesting. Ew. So she knows when
that's a bit weird.
her meat shell's gonna stop working.
She's officially a heptapod.
That feels different. That feels different than time being non-linear, because that still feels to me like time is linear. That feels like something else.
You just don't like not linear time.
Yeah, I really hate it. I just don't want to say time is non-linear.
I don't know, but then there's the whole time thing, like the perception of time. Sure, we perceive time linearly, and maybe there are beings who don't, but our living cells and things act like they, over time, they degrade to the point where they're not usable and no longer can form a living unit.
Right. It's like you said about combustion, like, it either is or it isn't. Like,
Oh. Well, I think the ultimate being just doesn't die then and perceives time non-linearly.
But they do be dying.
Well, I said ultimate being, I didn't say heptapods. They do die.
Oh.
Damn. I wonder how they feel about death. I guess they don't feel too sad because they knew.
no, like, yeah. I wonder how they understand it because, like, obviously as humans, we're like, oh, this person is gone forever, like, and that's the end of that. But I, like, with the heptapods, are they just like, okay, well, Abbott's shell is just here now. Like, does Abbott still exist?
How would you even be able to perceive that once your body is gone? All the things that perceive are gone, right?
Well,
so how?
Maybe not. Because, I mean, I think I see the seeing time non-linearly as, like, getting a little spiritual here, as, like, a sort of ascension / being more one with the universe, because you understand exactly what's happening in the universe, and I'll say where instead of when it's happening. So maybe consciousness isn't technically tethered to the body. Let's say that. Then the heptapods know his consciousness is somewhere. Or just
That
back
makes
to
sense.
being part of the universe.
Oh, I like that better.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I like that better.
'Cause,
Just
I
being
mean-
back in the universe.
Oh, back in the universe is like, I'm in the pool that is the universe and not in this one little vessel that lets me
Yeah.
run around it.
Right.
But you can only do that once you ascend. Is that the case?
I guess. Or, well, while you're in your shell, you already know what it's like to be in the pool of the universe, presumably. So, I mean, does it really matter?
So consciousness is not in the body, but it does die with the body if you're not aware of nonlinear time. Is that what's going on here?
Or does it die?
I think consciousness has a choice. No, this is my theory.
Okay.
In that understanding all of time, because they must not be bound to their physical forms if they know in 3,000 years our race will need you. Obviously, let's assume that these people can live for 1,000 years. No one on their colony or civilization will be able to live long enough to the point where they will need help, right?
How do you know?
This is my assumption.
Oh.
Same with humans, same with Louise. If Louise knows that in 100 years there's going to be another American Civil War, how does she know that if her body won't live to 175? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how do they know that their civilization is going to need help in 3,000 years? Either their consciousness is not tethered to their body and they experience the universe in such a deep way that they can see past their physical forms, or it is and they can live that long. Because I feel like you said, you don't know what you haven't experienced. So what, does Costello live to the point where they need help again?
Or is there some other being that, because we only see, 24, we're assuming, of these heptapods. So is that their entire civilization, or are there more? Because maybe, even if it's not Costello, if it was any of this race, like...
That would live to that point to know?
Yeah.
I guess that's cool. So, like, once you're born, and I guess you can get to the point of speaking as a heptapod, you can be like, hey, in my lifetime, XYZ happens. We should do something about that now, huh?
Right. Or it's not we should, it's
We
we
will.
are. Yeah.
Just letting you know. Because, I mean, just because you don't perceive time linearly doesn't mean you can't keep a history,
Right.
I guess. I think it's interesting that they came, well, assuming we didn't get to see the other pods, but we assume each pod has 2. That they came with the number 2 instead of just 1. Because I feel like, well, I guess they knew that Abbott was going to die, so they sent it back up. But I think 2 is an interesting number. I think, why wasn't it like 10 per ship?
Right.
We
Which is,
find
I
that
mean-
too scary.
Maybe they knew that humans would freak out if it was like a whole fleet of them in one area, because they were already freaking out as it was.
What'd you say, Ariane?
I said we go bombs away, just blow them up.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like first contact would have to be that big. Like, it would have to be like... Because as a human civilization, I'm not sending one of my ships. No, sir. Like, how do you know you're going to land A, in a place that's habitable, B, in the place that has the best resources to have a first contact, I guess? Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's best to send a few scouts forward or do what they did and just land everywhere and see what happened.
Right. I think that's a pretty smart way to do it. Because, like... Because if one alien lands in one place, like... Okay, if it lands in the United States, there's no guarantee that anyone outside of whatever area it landed in is gonna, like, know. Because I think the director explored a little bit with this, but I was complaining about, like, the role of the military in it. Because I think to an extent, yes, like, they would probably try to contain it or whatever to make sure it's not a threat. But, like, they were running the whole show, which I don't feel like is realistic because, I mean, it's aliens. I mean, I've never been in the military, but I don't think they know more about aliens than we do, like, or than a scientist would. And I feel like scientists didn't have, like, as large as a role as they would in real life. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, who am I to know? We've never had an alien come... Well, as far as we know.
I believe there have been aliens.
Yeah.
I think they're here. But let me remove my tinfoil hat. I think that there is protocol by the UN for first contacts and for zombie outbreaks. Like, things that are very science fiction, but there were some people in power who were nervous enough about it to be like, let's make a plan.
It's good protocol.
Let me see if I can pull up if there is alien protocol.
Because I think it should be peaceful, because I don't think... If an alien anything is gonna come to our Earth and not just blow it up immediately, like, I feel like we can safely assume they're peaceful. And, like, what would be the point in coming into contact with us if you're just gonna start a war because we know you're more advanced? Like, it just doesn't make sense. If there's going to be first contact, it is more than likely going to be peaceful.
Okay, so there is such thing as called the post-detection policy. This is a set of self-structured rules, standards, guidelines, and or actions that governmental or other organizational entities plan to follow for the detection, analysis, verification, announcement, and response to confirmed signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. There are no current PDPs that have been formally and openly adopted by any government entity. Ooh. But there is significant work being done by scientists and non-governmental organizations to develop a cohesive plan. So that's comforting that someone out there is going to be like, okay, I got it. Y'all weren't worried about it, but I have the plan here. Here it is.
Oh my gosh. At least they're working on it, I guess. I wouldn't stress too much. Because number one, if they are here to cause violence, oh well, we lost. Like, we do not stand a chance. And, like...
Oh, don't say that.
Well, I don't know. That's the whole question of, like, why would they come here? What's the point of coming here?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is, like, I really don't think there's a reason to come here unless
literally,
you're
I think the reason to come to any other civilization, especially if it's one less advanced than yours, is for research purposes. Purely for research purposes. Or if you have some crazy own religion of your own that says you should be the only entity existing in the universe, genocide purposes. I don't see why else you'd go mess with the lower civilization if you didn't need help. Which is weird. That's weird, because the heptapods are like, we're gonna need your help.
Well, in 3,000 years, so who knows in this world what humans would accomplish in 3,000 years.
It's interesting because it argues that there's something humans can accomplish that the heptapods can't. Which is very interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends. I mean, like, what kind of resources do they have on their home world? I feel like that's the most realistic thing that would be possible is just some resource that Earth has.
Yeah. Well, I think also it could be like the human way of thinking. I'd be like, humans are so unique and cool, but like we're just built different. The same way that like dolphins can use sonar. I mean, we've built our ways to do that, but not as intrinsically and as well as I imagine a dolphin or a bat could.
But I think another thing, like, about your point of, like, there's not really many reasons that a race would go to other civilizations if not to, like, destroy and or conquer. Like, but in this case...
And research.
Oh, and research.
I believe in peaceful scientists who just want to know what's
research. Right, but in this case, it was literally just, like, diplomatic. And, I guess, sharing technology. Which, in my opinion, it could, like... I feel like it could be either... It could go either way with sharing, like, such an advanced technology. Because, I mean, what if they try to use it against you? But in this case, they obviously know they wouldn't. Because it has to do with time.
You wouldn't pull up and give it to them.
Right, but in a way, I feel like it's most beneficial to share technology. But I understand that, like, first you want to make sure they're not going to just, like, use it against you. Because I feel like humans would try to. If it were something, like, weaponry.
I don't know. I think it's... I don't know if we're going to see anything soon. I like... My favorite paradox is the Fermi paradox, which is... If it is so likely that there are aliens, why haven't we seen any? And the answers are either because we just haven't yet, or there are none, or they don't care. But even if it... But also, like... Either they're not advanced enough to be sending out any signals that we would pick up, or they're just too far, or they straight up don't care.
I feel like if anything, we're not advanced enough.
To pick up on what?
Yeah.
On the signals of a more advanced civilization?
Yeah.
But I imagine, like, there at least have to be several civilizations at different timelines in their advancement. Mm-hmm. Like, not all of them are going to be, like, really past us. Mm-hmm. And that also brings up the Great Filter theory, which is... So it's the theory of, like, each intelligent civilization has to go through a filter, which either wipes them out or they continue past it. And people have proposed that climate change is our next filter, and either we're going to be wiped out by it or we're going to get past it. Same with atomic war. But the theory there is that we have yet to hit the filters that will allow us to see and communicate with other beings, or we're the ones who have gotten the farthest. And that life isn't as apt as to become intelligent as we'd like to think it is.
That's rough if we've got the farthest.
Right.
We're the hope for being the civilization that discovers other civilizations.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just no one's advanced enough.
That would be cool, though, if we were the first ones to go out and start doing stuff. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of sick.
Yeah, we wouldn't have anything to worry about. We are, as always, the invaders. That reminds me of a really...
anything to worry about.
Huh?
I said I wouldn't say we wouldn't have anything to worry about, but less. Yeah.
I saw a TikTok. It was this girl, and she's like, once we become, like, intergalactic and we start conquering other planets, y'all are not going to catch me on the side of the colonizer. I'm flipping and joining the others so quickly. I'm joining the aliens. I am betraying my race. I am not going to be a colonizer. And I think that's really funny, because that's probably how humanity's going to go about it. I hope not.
I hope
that
not.
we'll learn empathy.
Well, because I feel like my belief is that once we reach a point where we can go out and, like, start, like, making contact with other life... Like, I feel like humanity on Earth is gonna need to be peaceful. Like, I don't think there's a way to advance
that far
without being one, like, united race.
That's what happened in Arrival. Everybody had to work together to unlock the secret.
Even though it happened last second. It had to happen.
Yeah.
In the book series I'm reading, the Fear the Sky saga, this is a mirror of what happened in Arrival, but, you know, the conquering route. So aliens are coming to Earth, and they want to destroy it so they can do their own thing. They want to take over Earth. They need it. They don't have enough room on their planet or whatever. And there are people, like you said, that TikTok where that girl was like, I'm not going to be on the side of the colonizer. There are people who are joined like a revolution, and they got on the ship, and now they're helping the humans when they get to Earth.
Oh my god, I love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's a really good story.
I think, and this is just how I like to perceive things because I like to be an optimist. I think that life, whether it be from like a sail or alien races meeting each other, life inherently wants to keep going. And I think that can manifest itself in that way of like the colonizers flipping and fighting their own race for like the greater good and greater survival of life overall. That's just one of my inherent beliefs. I think it makes sense. Life just wants to keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so small. Feeling small is good. Keeps you in check.
Yeah.
Keeps you humble.
Well, I think that was a good discussion about time, first contact, and what it means to be human and alive and part of the universe's fabric. We are all space dust, as some scientists said. Everybody loves that quote. To introduce our next topic, we will be listening to the audio drama of The Screwfly Solution by James Tiptree Jr., also known as Alice Sheldon, also known as Raccoona Sheldon. She had many pseudonyms. I'll try to give a little bit of a bio for her so that you guys can see how cool she was. She was a science fiction writer around the 70s, 80s. She was super cool. And I love that story. The people who introduced it to me were like, oh my god, it's literally the worst. But I think it's the worst in the best way. So I'm really excited for you guys to listen to it.
I'm excited. Let's go.
I hope you guys join us next time and enjoy the Screwfly Solution. This is Adelis signing off.
This is Jayla signing off.
And Arion signing off.